The man picks up a sniper rifle. Just as he aimed at his prey, a lion came out instantly. He tackled the elk straight to the ground. The man is ready to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. However, then there was another roar from the side. It was a male lion with his cubs. Robert finally went soft. He slowly lowered his weapon and left the food for the family of 3. At that moment, the alarm clock suddenly sounded. He immediately turned around and saw that the sun was going down. He immediately turned around and prepared to go home, for the night here belongs to the night demons. Before entering the house, Robert sprinkled the hallway with a high concentration of alcohol to mask their scent. The room was filled with a collection of food. Just after he had eaten his dinner, the sun was about to disappear completely. Robert immediately began to close the doors and windows. The rooms here have been specially modified. All the exits were reinforced with iron doors. There is no light coming from the rooms. When night falls, Robert curls up in the bathtub with his dog. Even when he sleeps, he has a weapon in his hand. Now they cannot make any noise. For the night demons have begun to feed in the dark. Hearing the hissing sounds from outside, Robert's mind went back 3 years. To cure terminal diseases such as cancer, scientists had developed a special virus. However, as the virus evolved, it mutated out of control. In the end, 90% of the planet's population died quickly. Most of the remaining 10% of people were infected with the virus. They mutated into night demons that only ate people. The night demons are not only agile but also powerful. Fortunately, their weakness is their fear of sunlight, so the night demons can only operate at night. It is now 3 years after the outbreak of the virus. New York has become an empty city. Robert is the only human left in the city. Moreover, this dog is his only companion. Robert was a scientist in the military. For 3 years, he has been working on antibodies to the virus. He hopes to turn the night demons back into a human. He also uses the radio every day to find other survivors. He set the meeting place at the pier. Robert would go there every day at noon and wait. When he was bored, he would go to the carrier and play golf. But in 3 years, he has not waited for anyone to come. On this day, Robert took the dog out hunting again. The chased prey soon escaped into a darkened factory. Little did he know that the dog would follow its in. Robert was desperate. Because of the darkness and lack of light, it could be the habitat of a night demon. Seeing that the dog had not come out, he found the courage to go in. Soon Robert spotted the dog on the ground. When he got closer, he saw that it was the elk from earlier. Robert then looked into the light. A large group of night demons was sleeping in front of him. He immediately reached out and blocked the light. Robert then spotted the dog too. The dog was now hiding under the table. He immediately called the dog to come with him. However, the dog stared ahead in terror. Noticing that something was wrong, Robert turned to look. The sound of gunfire woke up the sleeping night demon. Robert took the dog and immediately ran towards the exit. Soon there was light ahead of them. Just as the nightmare was about to catch up with them, Robert jumped out of the window. The nightmare behind them fell with them. The time outside was exactly noon. In the sunlight, the night demons died quickly. At this point, Robert looked again at the night demons' lair. It turned out that his experiment had reached a critical point. He was now short of a night demon to experiment on alive. Soon Robert sets a trap at the door. He used his blood as bait. With the trap successfully triggered, Robert had managed to capture a night demon. However, just as he is about to leave, another night demon bursts through the doorway. He began to hiss at Robert, ignoring the sunlight burning his body. However, Robert did not think twice about it and quickly took it back to the lab. This time the night demon was a female. Robert injected her with the antiviral serum, and her heart rate soon began to drop. Her body temperature was slowly returning to normal. Just as the night demon regained her human features, her body suddenly began to convulse violently. She then let out a howl of pain, and her heart soon stopped beating. As Robert saw this, he injected her with the virus. The target reverted to her night demon form. This was Robert's 391st experiment. For years he had been trying to use his immune cells to create a serum to treat the infected hosts. After recording the data from this experiment, Robert also wheeled the night demon into the observation room. He then took the dog out for a drive. However, at that moment, he noticed a figure under the building. Robert immediately grabbed his weapon and stepped out of the car. The figure was a non-moving mannequin. Robert then opened fire on it. It turns out that a mannequin cannot just appear out of nowhere in a city where he is the only one. As soon as Robert had smashed the mannequin to pieces, he stepped forward to check the situation. However, The very next second, Robert was hoisted straight into midair by the trap. His head was slowly bleeding from the impact. Soon Robert passed out. The dog was screaming from below when he woke up again. The alarm clock on his watch had gone off. Robert immediately looked toward the sky and saw that the sun was about to set. Robert immediately pulled out his dagger and cut the rope. As he hit the ground, the dagger accidentally lodged in his thigh. Robert immediately hissed in pain. However, now he has no time to treat the wound. Soothed by the dog, he crawled towards the car, dragging his wounded leg. At that moment, the dog suddenly looked off into the distance. The night demons he had encountered earlier appeared as the sun went down. He unleashed 3 vicious dogs straight at him. Fortunately, the sunlight temporarily blocked them. Robert picked up speed as soon as he saw this. However, the last glimmer of sunlight soon disappeared. The dogs came at Robert in a flash. At this critical moment, the dog, defending his master, immediately rushed forward. Robert also immediately took out his pistol and fired. Although he managed to kill one of the dogs, the last one was already coming at him. Robert was in danger. The dog breaks free again to come to support. Robert took the opportunity to pick up his pistol and shoot the dog. However, the dog had also been seriously injured in the fight. Robert immediately took him back to the lab. After injecting the dog with the antiviral serum, Robert held him tightly in his arms. The dog was left to him by his family. 3 years ago, the government quickly put New York under lockdown after the virus outbreak. Robert's family was put on a plane to evacuate because of his status as a colonel. His daughter gave the dog to Robert before she left. She hoped that the dog would protect her father for her. However, the zombie crisis breaks out just as the plane takes off. The plane that had just taken off was instantly pounced upon by the night demon. When Robert returned to his senses, he found a large amount of hair in his hands. Not only did the dog's pupils start to grow larger, but his teeth were also growing rapidly. Eventually, the dog mutated. Robert had to close his eyes and strangle him to death. The loss of his only companion disheartened Robert. After burying the dog, he did not return to the base as usual, but went to the docks and set up a trap. By the time it was dark, the night demons had been drawn to the area. Robert came out from behind in his car as they ran towards the bait. He was now out to avenge the death of his dog. The night demons were instantly killed and injured by his impact. However, the Night Demon King soon rushed up. With his organization, the night demons seemed to have gained intelligence. First, they climbed up on a street lamp and pulled it down before smashing it heavily into the car. Robert tried to start the car at this point. However, under the command of the Night Demon King, his men were already rushing forward. With their desperate attacks, the car was knocked out of the way. By the time Robert had reacted, the Night Demon King had reached the window. Just as he was about to bite Robert to death, a bright light suddenly shone through. When Robert woke up again, he was back at his base. A mother and son had saved him. Anna had received the broadcast over the radio, so she happened to save Robert too. Next, he had to take his son to the Doomsday Camp. There are supposedly plenty of survivors there. Robert, however, was not hopeful, although 1% of humans had developed antibodies when the virus broke out. But there was no way they could escape the night demon's hunt. While the two men were arguing, Robert suddenly heard the night demons hissing. It was dawn when they returned yesterday, and Robert's wounds had been bleeding. Now the night demons had tracked them here. Robert immediately flicked the switch, and the outside of the house was instantly lit up like daylight. The light was strong enough to do damage to the night demons. However, with the night demons attacking again and again, the purple lights were soon extinguished. As the night demons rushed forward again, Robert detonated a bomb that had been planted in advance. By the time the explosion had passed, the night demons outside were dead and wounded. Robert then went upstairs to look for Anna, but he didn't realize that the explosion had also shattered a window upstairs. Immediately, he was attacked by the Night Demon King. Robert was instantly thrown out of the room by his opponent's force. The Night Demon King wanted to continue his attack, but Robert landed next to the weapon. He grabbed a machine gun and started firing wildly. The Night Demon King had to take cover. Robert saw that the enemy was hiding in the kitchen. He shot the gas tank. This forced the Night King to jump out. With him in pursuit, the Night Demon King had to escape through the window. However, the crisis was not over yet. Back outside, the Night Demon King immediately roared and summoned his men. They were quick and powerful. The night demons climbed straight up the walls. They then overwhelmed the roof. The night demons began to search the room. Meanwhile, Robert has taken Anna into hiding in the lab. It was at this point that they discovered a shocking sight. The female night demon, who had been injected with the serum, had regained some human features. Just as Robert was about to continue his inspection, the night demons had found the place. They began to bang on the bulletproof glass. Robert immediately shouted that he had found a cure to turn the night demon back into a human. That is when the Night Demon King came in. He knocked up the useless men and started banging on the glass himself. Even the bulletproof glass began to crack under the force of his power. The look in his eyes was full of murderous anger toward Robert, because he could not communicate with the Night Demon King. Robert extracted the blood of the female night demon, because it contained the antidote to the virus. He then sent Anna into the escape tunnel, handing her the serum. He chose to stay behind. Before he died, Robert took out a picture of his family. Now he had done his job. He then pulled the bomb with determination. Just as the Night Demon King rushes forward, he does not hesitate to jump on him. At the end of the film, Anna finds the survivor camp with her son. Moreover, the serum that Robert gave his life for became the last hope for humanity. There is another ending to the film. Robert does not die with the Night Demon King. He chose to return the female Night Demon, and the Night Demon King eventually spared them. By the time they leave the next day, Robert also explains this to Anna. He had evolved intelligence, judging by the trap the Night Demon King had set for him earlier, and that the Night Demon King's rescue of the female Night Demon showed that he had feelings. Perhaps one day in the future, Night Demons will replace humans as the new masters of the planet.